Hi everyone, my name is Sean Fawcett. I'm a work-based learning coordinator at San Diego Mesa College. Welcome today to the Tech and Skills Workshop series. Today we're going to talk about tips to engage online with Zoom, how to create a standout PowerPoint presentation, and most importantly, 21st century skills, adaptability, and digital fluency, which given the current pandemic are very crucial in today's work environment as well as in education as a student. So our team is presenting today. I mentioned my name is Sean Fawcett. We also have our internship coordinator, Pavel Consuega, who will be presenting details about our 21st century skills. We also have Melanie Baez-McCrae, who's an employment engagement coordinator, as well as Sadie Wagner, who is our career peer ambassador. So you'll hear from each of us about different topics today, but you can always get in touch with our work-based learning team if you have any questions. What is work-based learning? So work-based learning at Mesa is helping students apply learning to the world of work through hands-on experiences. So you can see this description here of this picture. Often you take your individual classes, you're accruing knowledge and skills kind of randomly, individually. And so work-based learning helps students be able to take all of the knowledge and skills that you're learning in the classroom and be able to apply that to real world. Connecting those experiences so that you understand the why and how for all the learning that you're doing both inside as well as outside the classroom. We help students recognize how the skills and experiences that you're gaining here at Mesa is helping you not only as a student, but also in your career path and beyond once you graduate. Work-based learning at Mesa is broken up into 3 different categories. So we work with students all across campus in every single program and major. We work with students individually, one-on-one, as well as with faculty to implement work-based learning activities within your classes. First and foremost, awareness and exploration is a big component of work-based learning, helping students understand what it is that you like and don't like as far as the world of work. We help students engage through hands-on experiences such as field trips, job shadowing, mentorship. We help students prepare for the workforce through employment readiness. So looking at resumes, cover letter reviews, making sure that you have all the resources that you need to find internships or employment opportunities. And then lastly, preparation and training, where you're actually getting that hands-on component through internships, work experience, service learning, community service, or research opportunities. So next up, we're gonna jump into how to create a standout presentation with PowerPoint. So many of you use PowerPoint in your classes for presentations or to submit assignments to your instructors. Today, we're gonna talk about some of the tips and things to avoid when creating a PowerPoint presentation. So that way you have a stellar PowerPoint that you can share with your class and also beyond when you enter the workforce. PowerPoint isn't something that you just use as a student. You'll continue to use PowerPoint when you find your career path. As I'm presenting today, as someone that works in higher education, I present often, at least probably once a day, and I always am using PowerPoint or Google Slides or some form of presentation slides. So first and foremost, a PowerPoint outline is going to be really important. Either make your first or second slide an outline of your presentation. And so here you're going to really give a broad overview about what you're going to be talking about throughout the presentation. So this can follow the order of your outline for the rest of your presentation. Only place the main points on this outline. So use titles of each of your slides as your main points. You're not putting full detail here. It's just, again, an intro for your audience to be able to understand what it is that you're going to speak on. So looking at slide structure, this is really important. And so these are some good tips that you can follow. Use 1 or 2 slides per minute of your presentation. So again, not super lengthy. You want to kind of be short and to the point. Write in point form or bullets, not complete sentences. So you can see here on this slide, it's very succinct, very clear, and only includes about 4 to 5 points per slide. You do want to avoid wordiness, use keywords and phrases only. And so the PowerPoint presentation isn't meant for you to actually read off of. It's just there as kind of a visual tool, not only for you to jog your memory about what your presentation covers, but also for your audience to be able to understand and pick up on some of the key points within your presentation. Some bad things about slide structure. So you can see here, this is a lot of text on one slide. From the audience perspective, it's a lot to look at. It's a little overwhelming to be able to read and also listen to you while you're presenting. So you want to avoid doing full text or paragraphs like this. And again, if you can, put it in bullet format with just your main points. So looking at fonts within a PowerPoint. So some good tips. You do want to use at least an 18-point font. It needs to be legible, so people need to be able to read what it is that you're putting on the slide. Use different font size for main points and then secondary points. So you can see here, the main bullet point is about 18 points, and then subtext is going to be a little bit smaller. And that's okay, especially if you want to be able to fit a couple subtext points within a slide. I do recommend using a standard font like Times New Roman, Calibri, or Arial. These are pretty standard as far as visually appealing. They're easy to read, and you want to make sure that you use space whenever possible. Oftentimes when you do bullets, it is single spacing within your paragraph text. If possible, make sure that you add space so that way when your audience is looking at the PowerPoint slide, it's very easy to see. So some bad points or things that you want to avoid. If you use small font, your audience, again, cannot read that. That first line under bad is very difficult for you to see, so you want to try to avoid doing that. Avoid using capital letters as well because it's difficult to read. It also comes off a little aggressive. And also make sure to not use a complicated font. Again, stick to Times New Roman, Calibri, Arial. Those are all really great fonts that are pretty standard across the board. Now looking at slide color. So some good tips here. Use a color of font that contrasts sharply with the background. So for example, a blue font on a white background. Use color to reinforce the logic of your structure. So a light blue title on a dark blue text. So things that are going to make it stand out, but not overwhelm the audience. And also use color to emphasize a point, but only use it occasionally. So you're not putting full sentences in a particular color, just maybe a highlighted main point or key word that you really want the audience's attention to pinpoint on. Some bad things about slide color. This slide doesn't need a lot of description. As you can see, it's pretty hard to read all of these, but using the first bullet talks about using a font color that does not contrast with the background. So you can see here, this is yellow on a white slide, which makes it really difficult for me to read as an audience. Using color for decoration is both distracting and annoying. So again, it is okay to use color to highlight some major keywords, but you don't want to do it regularly as it's often really hard for the audience to pay attention. Using a different color for each point is unnecessary, and also same thing goes for secondary points. So you can see here using black, then pink, then red is kind of out of control. It's a lot of color happening, and it's very difficult for the audience and the viewer to be able to follow along. And then this last bullet that has every single color in the book is definitely ineligible and very hard to read. So try to avoid doing that when possible. So some slide background, good tips. Use backgrounds such as this one that are attractive but simple. So if you can stick to light backgrounds or white, that's always really great, especially for any students or people that have disabilities, especially visually impaired. It's very difficult to read sometimes when you change out the background colors. I know PowerPoint and also Google Slides does have some different templates that are really unique and kind of have a lot of colors in them. But if you can, try to stick to some things that are light. Use the same background consistently throughout your presentation. If you switch up your slide background every slide, it does become distracting, and it's also doesn't show a ton of attention to detail. So try to make your slides as visually appealing, easy to read as possible. Use images or graphs when possible, but not on every slide. So again, you want to make it interesting and engaging, but not overwhelming. And then use simple transitions as needed. So slide backgrounds, some bad things. Avoid backgrounds are distracting or difficult to read from. So you can see here, this slide is pretty hard to read. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of color. There's different bubbles that are popping through that make it hard to read. Again, be consistent with the background that you use. Do not use distracting images or animation. So again, by having these images fly in and out and do circles, yes, it looks cool, but when you're presenting, it can be very overwhelming for the audience. And rather than paying attention to your points in your presentation, they're actually just focusing on the animation, which distracts from all of the main speaking points that you're making. Do not go overboard with the images or animation either. This is a lot of clip art that's on this slide. So it's almost a little overwhelming with the amount of text that's there. So you want to think maybe one image per slide is probably something that you're looking at that will be successful. If you do plan on using animation, just make sure that you're consistent with it. So I would suggest avoiding kind of the fly-in. If you can do maybe a fade or one of the more subtle animation techniques, then that would be helpful. Other than that, you want to keep it to a minimal as possible. So next up, we will give some tips and strategies on how to engage online with the Zoom platform. And then also discuss adaptability and digital fluency, both as a student and in the workforce. So we hope these presentations are helpful for you in this online remote environment. If you have any questions, you can check back in with the Work-Based Learning team at sdmesa.edu/WBL. Have a great day.